road construction is rightfully considered the most opaque sector of the economy, where the profitability of corruption schemes is rooted not in simple theft of materials, but in the precision management of project tolerances. An average kilometer of a 4-lane highway, costing between $5 and $8 million, carries a hidden shadow tax of up to 30%. This profit is distributed among the client, the designer, and the contractor before the first piece of equipment even arrives on site. The cycle begins during the feasibility study phase, where the designer artificially inflates the logistics distance for the delivery of aggregate materials. The estimates include the transport of crushed stone from quarries located hundreds of kilometers away under the pretext of their unique physical and mechanical properties, while the actual purchase is made from the quarry closest to the site. This difference in transport tariffs generates an initial volume of unaccounted cash, laundered through shell transport companies, which can amount to hundreds of thousands of dollars from a single major contract. The primary technological fraud occurs during the formation of the road base, which serves as the multi-layered foundation beneath the asphalt. The most lucrative method involves manipulating the compaction coefficient of sand and gravel. According to regulations, each layer must be compacted to specific density values, but the contractor deliberately reduces the number of roller passes and undersupplies up to 10% of the material volume. Since it is visually impossible to check the density of the lower layer once the next one is laid without destroying the pavement, the volumes on paper match the project, while in reality, a porous structure remains in the foundation. Instead of expensive granite crushed stone, cheap limestone is often used, which turns to dust under the influence of moisture and vibration. This inevitably leads to the formation of voids under the asphalt, which are later blamed on unfavorable climatic conditions or soil heaving, though the root of the problem lies in the substitution of materials and cost-cutting on raw supplies. The top layer of asphalt concrete is the final and most expensive stage, where the main theft is tied to the chemical composition of the mix. Asphalt plants are programmed to reduce the content of bitumen and expensive polymer additives by just 0.5% of the total mass. Visually, the fresh asphalt is indistinguishable from the standard, but such savings on hundreds of tons of petroleum products across a highway release massive funds totaling millions of dollars annually for a large plant. Meanwhile, the durability of the road drops critically. Due to the binder deficiency, the asphalt loses elasticity, becomes brittle in the cold, and begins to crumble after the very first winter. To hide these violations during inspection, a golden core system is used. The contractor knows in advance the exact spots where the laboratory will take core samples for testing. And in those specific squares, the technology is followed perfectly. In the rest of the pavement, thickness and composition can be arbitrary, as the technical supervisors often receive a fixed percentage of the budget for signing off on hidden works without ever visiting the site. The final accord of the scheme is the creation of a guarantee loop, turning the road into a source of eternal rent. The object is deliberately built with a reduced life cycle, so that ruts form within 2 years. The destruction of the pavement is officially recognized as the result of excessive loads from heavy trucks, allowing the contractor to avoid free warranty repairs. Instead, new budget injections are lobbied for the capital repair of the surface layer, and the same contractor begins siphoning funds on the same stretch of road all over again. Thus, the corruption model in the road sector is not a one-time theft, but a well-oiled conveyor for the cyclic extraction of state resources through the imitation of construction activity, where each new repair cycle costs taxpayers additional millions of dollars. There are even more sophisticated management and financial models that allow for the extraction of funds before equipment even reaches the site, or at stages unrelated to asphalt. There is a major league of road fraud involving legal and land manipulations. These schemes are far more expensive, allowing for the siphoning of tens of millions of dollars during the site preparation stage, even before the first excavator arrives. One of the most profitable is the land pre-purchase scheme. Individuals affiliated with officials buy up agricultural plots at bargain prices, exactly where secret plans show a future federal highway will pass. A few months before construction starts, the land category is changed to industrial, and its documented value skyrockets hundreds of times. As a result, the state buys these plots from accidental owners at the market price of luxury real estate, spending up to a third of the total project budget on land acquisition alone. Similarly, schemes involve compensation for the clearing of valuable timber or the demolition of capital structures that are built in a few weeks from cheap materials solely to receive government payouts for their removal. There is also the eternal design financial model, where a new project is ordered for the same stretch of road every 3 years due to allegedly changed technical conditions or environmental norms. Old projects are archived, and millions of dollars go to design bureaus for moving the same drawings into new folders. This category also includes the manipulation of resource mobilization, where colossal sums are budgeted for the transfer of equipment and the construction of worker camps that, in reality, have been standing on site since the previous contract. Bridge corruption deserves special mention, as the cost of a single object can exceed $100 million. Here, the key theft is tied to foundation work and the depth of pile driving. It is physically impossible to verify underground whether a pile has been driven 20 meters or 12 without dismantling the entire support. Savings on metal and high-strength concrete in hydraulic structures are the most dangerous, as they lead not just to ruts, but to the total collapse of structures. If we view the road industry as a system, the listed methods, together with technological fraud during asphalt laying, cover only the visible part of the iceberg, hiding dozens of legal loopholes for capital flight. These include the scheme of fictitious utility relocation, where millions of dollars are budgeted for moving gas pipes or power lines that either do not require relocation or are moved by the utility owners themselves outside the road contract. The contractor receives full payment for these works, hiding behind acts of complex, unforeseen labor. No less effective is the manipulation of soil categories during excavation. In documents, ordinary clay is transformed into rocky soil or soil with a high boulder content, the excavation and removal of which costs 3 to 4 times more. Enormous budgets are absorbed by drainage systems and local treatment facilities, where instead of expensive filtration systems, empty concrete tanks are installed, buried in the ground, and never checked for functionality after the papers are signed. A separate layer involves intelligent transport systems and lighting. Here, profit margins reach 50% through the purchase of low-quality Chinese components via a chain of European intermediaries, inflating the price several times over. There is also the ghost rental scheme, where hundreds of machine hours for expensive specialized equipment are recorded in reports, even though the equipment was never on site and all work was performed by the manual labor of low-skilled migrants. All these methods, combined with the previously described technological violations, form a complex system where the final cost of the project has nothing to do with its actual market price.